one of the sessions held within the framework of 13th World Urban Forum focused on the Sustainable Practices Standard, Azerbaijan's first national sustainability standard, as the event enters its final days in Baku. According to the information presented during the session, the Sustainable Practices Standard is being developed by the Ecosphere Social Ecological Centre and is considered the country's first national sustainability standard.
A key highlight of the forum's megapolis planning sessions turned the spotlight onto the Baku Master Plan 2040, the first comprehensive development document adopted in the country's independence era.
The most important of them are making Baku a human-centered city, which is oriented to the comfortable living of its citizens. It's going to be a well-balanced, polycentric city by 2040 with several centers outside of the historical core of the city. The second idea is to keep the balance of the precious architectural monuments of Baku and its cultural uniqueness. And the third idea is to make Baku clear and safe environment from ecological point of view. We're expecting to increase per capita figures of the green areas 3 times by 2040. We're always open to learn from other countries, but the most important thing here, which we are very happy about, is that a lot of countries are also learning from us, from Azerbaijan, because we have not only in Baku, but also on the liberated territories in Karabakh and Eastern Zangezur, the cities and villages built from scratch. And this is a unique opportunity for the world and for us to show to show the world our success story.
Utilities and urban services roadmap.
At WUF13, UN agencies and urban experts gathered to confront a stark reality. Millions of people in urban areas still live without safe water and sanitation. The session focused on how housing, land rights and wash services must work together to build inclusive and resilient cities ahead of the 2026 UN Water Conference in Abu Dhabi.
To allow communities.
We are bringing the voice of local governments to Abu Dhabi and to this year's conference in order to support and strengthen the role of governments in fulfilling this fundamental human right that people rightfully demand. As governments, we carry the responsibility of providing these services to the population every day, and we face these challenges more directly than any other level of administration. That is why the voice of local governments is especially important at the Water Conference and in Abu Dhabi. The aim is for all levels of government, together with urban communities and residents, to work collectively to solve this major problem, which could otherwise become a source of future global conflict.
Vulnerability becomes an immediate matter of survival for small island developing states. Hit heavily by sea level rise and severe coastal erosion, leaders from these nations are demanding an urgent revision of global funding mechanisms.
The traditional way of funding, the traditional way of dealing with climate change, city planning, housing, these things doesn't work for small countries like us. There needs to be radical thinking, radical shift from the traditional ways of financing, planning, all these things. So we are here to trying to convince our partners, international community, to look at us differently and help us with the finance that is required to us adapt the climate change, because the climate change is not caused by us. We contribute a fraction of what is happening. So the big emitters cause this problem, but we are in the face of the consequences of it.
Financial institutions acknowledge these severe constraints, pointing to sky-high construction and maintenance costs in remote island territories.
Our governments are talking nice.
What we should take actions is that we really need to mobilize more financing, including the private sector, to support the housing sector. I see the island, they call it small island development states, SEEDS countries. They have a lot of challenges, such as huge climate change issues, including the sea level rising, including the coastal erosion, and including the the very small market, because they are all most of them are small island countries, and everything's expensive there. The construction cost is high, O&M, operation and maintenance cost is high, more sustainable way. So the tourism would be one good way to grow their economics, but also to really help people to maintain the balance with their nature and then to protect the biodiversity.
To navigate this delicate matrix of limited land and biodiversity, experts call for a heavily localized approach to urban planning.
Notwithstanding what we faced, we need to put the necessary systems in place through planning, proper, effective planning to address issues of sustainable development. What was also said in the panel is that we need the support and partnership of private sector, international partners such as UN Habitat, the Asian Development Bank and others to come on board. And they have been doing so. What we need to do is to scale up using some of the examples from elsewhere across the small island developing states to see how they can best work given the local context.
Paralleling these critical policy debates, the human side of urban development was explored through the medium of cinema. News proudly presented its original World Urban documentary series, WUF13, offering global participants an immersive look at Azerbaijan's rich architectural heritage. The screenings took place in the dedicated urban cinema room, where the episode showcasing the historical region of Shaki was presented. Notably, this film was the only production from Azerbaijan selected by UN Habitat for the official urban cinema program.
In Azerbaijan, this is completely different. In Azerbaijan, it is to serve its people. It is to create wealth. It is to create a better life to everyone, not just a particular group. And that is why you find, so much this. When you listen to your people and you put your people's needs first, you see what's going on, and the entire country is getting modernized and is preparing for this future, which is already the present, as we know very well. We work with AI intimately, and we've been doing this for the past year. So all this is just incredibly revealing about the Azerbaijani mentality, not just because we throw around the word culture very freely.
But they are looking ahead.
The ultimate test of urban resilience occurs where housing systems intersect with violent conflict and mass displacement. Globally, nearly 3 billion people now lack adequate housing, while more than 300 million people remain without a home. The global housing crisis is not gender neutral, disproportionately affecting women and girls due to structural inequalities.
To make the voices of those impacted.
Today at the World Urban Forum in Baku, two back-to-back discussions focused on one issue that affects millions across the world: housing. The first dialogue looked at housing in times of crisis, not just after wars, but also after climate disasters and displacement. Speakers from Azerbaijan, Iraq, Palestine, Syria, Ukraine and major international organizations shared one message: recovery is not only about rebuilding walls, it's about rebuilding lives.
So rebuilding is about the people, it's about their interests, their decisions, their agency. Everyone should be involved, everyone should be respecting the human rights, and there should be ownership of this process. But we are all responsible of listening to their needs and coordinating our efforts to plan in the better way possible so the short, medium and long-term recovery process is successful and it's in the best interest of those affected.
And I think it's the moment really for different types of actors to step in and lead response to crises from the local level. So it's for subnational governments and municipal authorities who understand their local areas to really take the lead in working with communities to build back after devastation and displacement.
According to information we already collected, and after the aggression of Israel against Gaza and also in the West Bank, there is 372,000 houses were demolished, were destroyed, and more than 60,000 units are partially damaged and can be repairable. This requires an international solidarity, support of the international community and the friends of the Palestinian people, including Azerbaijan, of course, who has the same experience maybe as a result of what happened in Karabakh destruction and their plans to recover. We will use this experience, we'll take benefit from this experience to recover, to reconstruct Gaza, inshallah.
The second panel widened the conversation even further. Attention shifted from local recovery efforts to the global impact of instability in housing systems.
Lebanon, since we are witnessing a real pain, real-time pain every single day. Fayrouz promised us Lebanon would rise again from its stones, and it will. But this time we will need help finding the stones because everything is damaged in the south, specifically protecting the records, counting the losses in a language that the world can finally read, and financing reconstruction without selling the future to do it. We don't want Lebanon to be bankrupt again. This is my final statement.
In relation to the Middle East crisis that we just discussed and heard about it, so that is also impacting seriously in the lives of the poor families, communities, because they depend. The poor families, there are many laborers, there are many family members going to the Middle East for work, and they're sending money to build their houses, to build their families. Like they have taken loans. They have put their property, land, houses, whatever they have in the collateral. The poor families, they are highly disturbed. It's just really difficult. It's really challenging for them. So it's a very chaotic. It's a kind of terrible situation that the people are facing. So I think for these reasons, this war, this conflict must come to the end. It must stop now.
Once you build the infrastructure, you cannot move it, you cannot change it. It requires a lot of investment.
In our regions alone, so far we have about 13,700 people already resettled. Among them 7,000 in Agdam and 3,000 each in Fizuli and Khojavand. But this year alone we will try to resettle around 30,000 more our citizens to their native homeland. And then, of course, this process will be continued next year as we go on. The second state program is under preparation, and hopefully that will be implemented much more rapidly for obvious reasons that certain necessary basic infrastructure and demining efforts have already been done, and very successfully so, that opening up the way for us to implement these projects more rapidly.
Today's sessions chart a comprehensive blueprint for global urban expansion, spanning from national sustainability metrics to historic regional returns.